Good morning. How should I pronounce your name? Thank you. Unji Markelianti. Thanks. How are you doing today? Um, I'm doing godly, Mark Lyon. Have a beautiful morning yourself, Sarah. I'm glad you're here. I've never heard of John Money or Volkmar Sigush, so I have no thoughts on them, other than that they are fun names to say. Good morning, Queen. How are you doing today? Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning. Kusov, why don't you join my Discord server, and then you can post me a link about John Money, and then I will be very interested. I'll read all about it. I'm doing pretty well, Queen. I'm shifting back into a more regular pace. I had a friend here for the last 5 days, Astrid, another TikToker friend, and it sort of took over my sense of time and space. And now I am here once more, and readjusting to my schedule on my own. Shifting back to orthodoxy, let's say. And Will, I have a hard time understanding your motivations, or your cultural background, but I'm glad you're here. Thanks, Queen. You should use Discord. Discord is great. It's how I hang out with my friends. It's a good space. So, today we are going to say the Shema and the Vahafta. And then we will read an old Sumerian story of Era and Ishum, about a Sumerian war god. And then we will say Arati and then Kaddish. Orthodox in the sense of traditional, not capital O Orthodox. I wonder how traditional I am. Like, there are certain things about me that are, I suppose, very traditional, but many things that are not at all, right? Like, my way of life is both very traditional and very modern simultaneously. I don't know. I don't know how to characterize it. Do I feel accepted as a queer person in the Jewish community? Well, so the interesting thing, Crustacean, is that I'm not actually a member of any Jewish communities, right? Like, I have Jewish friends. But there's no congregation or, like, specific Jewish community that I can label myself as a member of. And a large part of that is because I'm queer. Like, I do have to be wary about what Jewish organizations I approach. Right, the Jewish organizations that I am the most interested in are the ultra-Orthodox ones. Obviously, I cannot participate in their community life because of the strong social norms that they have created around themselves that I cannot uphold. So, I don't know. Do I feel accepted as a queer person in the Jewish community? I think it depends on which community, if I'm being honest. Have I had breakfast? I have not had breakfast, Queen. And I do have rice in the rice cooker. It is cooking now. I do not know if it will be ready by the time the stream concludes. We'll see. We'll see when it beeps. But if it beeps, I will have breakfast with you. Promise. Have you had breakfast, Queen? So, let's say the Shema. Have you found an accepting congregation, crustacean? What part of the world are you in? Yes, it's an Ouroboros. Being too traditional is also unorthodox. Round and round we go in a big circle. Toast. I like toast. Toast is good. Let's eat some toast. Let's say the Shema. It goes like this. Shema Yisrael Asher Eloheinu Yahweh Echad. Vahafta et Anat Elohecha ובכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך וחיו הדברים האלה אשר נוחים מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך וחיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך וחיה כי ויחיו אלוהיך אל הארץ אשר נספה לאבותיך לאברהם לישכח וליעקב לתת לך עברים גדולות וטובות אשר לא בנית ובתים מלאים כל טובה אשר למילאת וברות הצבים אשר לא עשת והכרמים בזיתים אשר נתת והלכת ושבת ישמר לך פן תשכח את יהוה אשר תישך מארץ מצרים מבית עבדים. Listen, Israel. Hello. I have missed you. Too. Listen, Israel. Yahweh Eloheinu, Asher Echad. All these gods are one. And you shall love Yahweh Eloheinu with all your heart and all your soul and all your might. And these words that I'm repeating to you today, teach them to your children. And recite them when you wake up and when you go to bed. And when you are traveling and when you are at home. And you shall bind them as a symbol on your hand and let them serve as a sign on your forehead. And inscribe them on the doorposts of your houses and on your gates. And when Yahweh Eloheinu brings you into the land that he swore to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to assign to you, great and flourishing cities that you did not build, and houses full of all good things that you did not fill, and hewn cisterns that you did not hew, and vineyards and olive groves that you did not plant, and you eat your fill. Take heed that you do not forget Yahweh, who freed you from the land of Egypt, the house of bondage. Hello. Good morning. So, today we are going to be continuing our reading of the myth of Era and Isham. Era and Isham. The war god who does not want to go to war. So right now, we are hearing from... Who are we hearing from? Thus the god's king raised his voice to Era, the god's warrior. Marduk. Marduk is saying to Era. Here's what he is saying. O warlord Era, of relevance to what you declare you'll do, there was a time, quite a while ago, when I became enraged. And I went from my house to make preparations for a flood. And I went from my house, disordering both heaven and earth. Even the heights of the sky shook, and the heavens' stars shifted. And I never even restored them back to where they had been. Erkala was struck by an earthquake. The plowed fields' yield fell. From then till now, it's been difficult to gain a fruitful crop. Yea, as I say, even the order of the heaven and earth was lost, until the founts ebbed and the waters of the flood withdrew. So I went back and gazed all around. The result was horrific. There were very few survivors amongst the progeny of life, and I never sought to replenish them to what they had been, such that I was like a plowman holding seed in his hand. Thus I made for myself a dwelling which would be my home. Yet regarding my robes, being soiled and spoiled by the flood, Gera brought brightness back to me and purified my robes. And once he had caused them to shine, completing this task, I set the royal crown upon my head and returned to my palace. Then was my form restored to full glory, my stare formidable. But then, regarding the humans who had survived the flood, and who had witnessed the consequences of what I had done, is it right that I lift my weapons to extinguish this vestige too? It was I who sent the artisans, the 7 sages, into the Apsu, and it was I, too, who told them that they were not to return, and I who altered where the Mesu tree and El Mesu stone were, telling no one but then, returning to what you declared to do. Where could the Mesu tree, whose wood is the god's being, be? Further, it is a fitting emblem of the world's supreme power, that unspoiled beam, lofty virgin, for whom the gods are made. The roots which stretch all the way down into the deep sea, beneath 100 leagues of water, to the bottom of Aralu, and with its crown stretching above to touch Anu's heaven, did you find the flawless Ziginduru stone the artisans lost? Where could Nin Ildu be, the craftsman of my Anu powder, wielding the sun's unsullied axe, knowing the timber's traits, the one that makes the night glow like the day in brilliance, and thus causes the people to prostrate themselves at my feet? And where could you find Gushin Banda of guiltless hands? For he is the one responsible for making both gods and men. Do you know where Ningal is, who bears the hammer and anvil? Who can bite solid copper as if it were hide and make tools? I like reading to people. We'll meet again. .co. A ghost is a ghost. Hi. Hello again. Who can bite solid copper as if it were hide and make tools? And do you have any idea where the most costly stones are found? Product of an immense sea, which are suitable for crowns? Do you know where the holy carp, Apsu's 7 sages, are? Who are unfailing in their great wisdom, as is their lord Ea, and who are capable of bringing holiness, too, to my form? Such says Marduk. And the warlord Era listened, as he stayed, standing there, and he raised his voice, speaking to King Marduk, saying, Then first artisans will once again rise from the Apsu, and then the holy Mesu tree will once again spread its branches. And then the holy Mesu tree will once again spread its branches. As for the holy El Mesu stone, it will shine again in the sun. So, after Marduk had heard every word that he had spoken, thus raising his voice to be heard, said to the warlord Era, I will go from my house to bring chaos to heaven and earth. The flood waters will ascend and spread out across the land, and the extensive light of day will become dark as pitch. The tempest will rise, obscuring every star, heaven's gems. A vile wind will blow, all people and animals will be blinded. Galu demons will arise and capture from among the living. Them who lack clothing will rebel against their oppressors. Thus too will the Anunnaki arise and seek to crush all life. And before I take up weapons, could any cause them to flee? And, okay, we will finish tablet 1. You have a little bit more. And after the warlord Era had heard every word spoken to him, he raised his voice to be heard, speaking to the King Marduk. Then, King Marduk, until such time as you go back home, and Gera purifies your robes, and you are in your palace, I will be the emperor and master of both heaven and earth. I will ascend up to heaven and give commands to the Igigi, and I will descend into the Apsu and rule over the Anunnaki. I will dispatch the fearsome Galu demons down into Kornugi, and with my savage weaponry all of them will be subjugated. I will bind fast the pinions of the vile wind as if it were a bird, and at the palace which you will go back to, King Marduk, there Anu and Eliel will crouch like bulls around your gate. Marduk heard every word, and approved what Era had said, so he rose and went forth from his impenetrable dwelling. Hello, Freedom. How are you? We're just completing the first tablet of Era and Isham. There are 4 more tablets to go, and then an epilogue. So we'll keep reading tomorrow. For now, it's time to say closing prayers. How are you doing today, Freedom? What are you up to today? So we are going to conclude with Arati. The word Arati means flame in Sanskrit. Here's our little flame. What is working for you? What does it mean to be working? Taking care of kids? You have a tech job, don't you? It's hard for me to keep track. So, the word Arati, the prayer Arati, goes like this. Timekeeping and homeschooling. Timekeeping? What is the work of timekeeping? Watching a clock? Watching a clock for what? Jaya Jayarati Vina Vinayaka Vina Vinayaka Shri Ganesha Jaya Jayarati Subramanya Subramanya Kartikeya Jaya Jayarti Venugopala Venugopala Venuola Papa Vidura Navanita Chora Jaya Jayarti Venkantaramana Venkantaramana Sankata Harana Sitarama Radhe Shama Jaya Jayarti Gauri Manohara Gauri Manohara Bhavani Sankara Samba Sadashiva Uma Maheshwara Jaya Jayarti Raja Rajeshwari Raja Rajeshwari Tripura Sundari Mahalakshmi Mahasaraswati Mahakali Mahashakti Jaya Jayarti Anjaneya Anjaneya Hanumanta Jaya Jayarti Datachaya Datachaya Trimutri Avatara Jaya Jayarti Adityaya Adityaya Bhaskaraya Jaya Jayarti Sanistaraya Sanistaraya Bhaskaraya Jaya Jayarti Sankarachaya Sankarachaya Advaita Guravi Jaya Jayarti Sadgurunata Sadgurunata Shivananda Jaya Jayarti Vishnu Devananda Vishnu Devananda Vishnu Devananda Jaya Jayarti Agastya Munaye Agastya Munaye Shriyama Priyaye Jaya Jayarti Ayapa Swamine Dharma Shastave Jaya Jayarti Jesus Grave Moses Grave Buddha Grave Jaya Jayarti Muhammad Grave Guru Nanak Grave Samastya Grubho Namaha Jaya Jayarti Venugopala Natatra Bhati Natandrakaratam Nima Vidyobhati Kutoya Magni Twameva Mantamini Sarvam Dasya Basya Samidam Vivanti Om Gange Kayamane Kaiva Govari Saraswati Narmade Sudikaveri Yaha Namastitam Namo Namaha. Good morning, Katie. How are you doing today? What are you up to? Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Tvameva Bandisha Saka Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Javinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Kayena Vacha Manasendriya Erva Buddhyat Manava Prakrite Sabhavad Karomi Adyad Sakalam Parasmahe Narayana Hiti Sarmar Payami Sarvadharmam Pravichayam Amikam Saranam Vraja Aham Sva Sarva Papayo Mokshayami Masucha. Whatever actions I perform with my body, speech, mind, senses, my nature, my intellect, or my emotions, all these, I dedicate to you. Thank you. Thank you so very much. I cannot describe how much I appreciate you all. I try. I say it every day. But it's, the words elude me. Do I ever perform puja? On rare occasions, when I'm in the right context. I don't perform pujas here, on TikTok or in my home, but there is a festival that has become very important to me, Shiva Ratri. There's an ashram that I have been attending, been going to throughout my life. My mother brought me there when I was very young, and I lived there for about a month and learned how to garden. And during the Shivaratri festival 4 years ago now, 5 years ago, time flies, was when I realized I needed to transition when I was doing pujas in a Shiva lingam. So I have performed pujas in the past, and they've been extremely influential in my sense of self. But I'm not Hindu, so I need to be in a context where those particular rituals are supported in order to perform them. The ashram has been closed since the pandemic began, closed to visitors, so I've not been able to go. So one day I will return to that place, and it will be good. So now it's time to say Kaddish. The word Kaddish means holy in Hebrew, and we say these words to grieve what we have lost. And who are you sharing this live with, Ghost? And I feel very grateful that I can say these words of grief with you, because it's not an emotion that should be felt alone. For the last 2,500 years, give or take, my ancestors have said these words in response to death. Yitgadal vidkadash Shema Rabba. Bialma divrachiote viamlich malchote b'chayachon uv'yomechon uv'chayedikol be Israel bagala vizman kuri v'yimru. Amen. Yehi Shema Rabba miv'arach li'alam amei almaya yitbrach v'ishtabach v'itba'ar v'itramam v'itnaseh v'itadar v'itale v'itolal Shema d'kudesha b'rechu leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbirchata v'nechemata diamiran bialma v'yimru. Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yechol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Ose shalom b'mramav, huya ase shalom, aleinu v'yochol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. I'm so glad you're here, Jenna. Ose shalom b'mramav, huya ase shalom aleinu, v'yalechol Yisrael, v'imru v'imru. Amen. Thank you. Thank you for joining me here today. I will be here again tomorrow to say all of these words again with you. I hope to see you there. Busyness. It's good to be busy, isn't it? Are you pleasantly busy, or are you frustratedly busy? I was very pleasantly busy these last few days. But I was glad to be able to work in live streams for a few of them. Your mom is sick. I hope she gets well soon. Send her my well wishes. Sleeping in. Pleasantly busy. Good, Jenna. I'm glad. So I'm gonna go. But I'll be here tomorrow. And I hope I will see you all there. You're very welcome, Andwell. I'll see you soon. Thank you so much. Farewell. Sometime between 9 and 11. I know that's a broad range, but like 10 is a good metric. 10 o'clock is like probably on average. Eastern time. 10 a.m. Eastern time. You have a great day too, Ghost. I'll see you later. Farewell.